government's very fearful of losing control. You see it with the Tea Parties. You see it with the protests. You see it with the anger on the streets. If they could put a GPS thing under your car without a court order and follow you around? Yeah, it's Big Brother, and they're there, and they're watching you. When they told us why 9/11 happened, they said, oh, because they hate our freedom and liberty. Well, I guess they're fixing that, aren't they? No more freedom or liberty.
The United States is no longer the land of the free. Americans live in a system with literally millions of unnecessary government regulations that have destroyed the free market and sent millions of well-paying jobs overseas. Americans today are constantly watching their speedometers and trying to conform to every little rule, yet there are so many rules that it's impossible for even the most honest and hardworking Americans not to be breaking some type of law on a daily basis. We are slaves in a criminal monetary system where the Federal Reserve steals from the middle class through inflation and transfers this wealth to their banker friends on Wall Street. We are forced to accept pieces of paper as money when the U.S. Constitution defined only gold and silver as legal tender. NIA has already proven in our previous documentaries, Melt Up, The Dollar Bubble, and Hyperinflation Nation, that the U.S. dollar will soon become worthless and Americans will see the purchasing power of their savings and income destroyed. However, the impending currency, fiscal, and debt crisis is no longer NIA's greatest concern. We are now seeing countless signs on a daily basis that the U.S. is headed for a complete societal collapse that will end civilization as we know it forever.
You're actually breaking the law. Breaking the law if you try to capture rain falling onto your roof and pour it on your flower bed.
Obviously, if you use the water upstream, it won't be there for the person to use it downstream.
So what about the little guy watering with rainwater at home? Will anybody do anything about that violation of the law?
If she really does do that, then she ought to have a water right to do it.
The average American is reaching a boiling point. There is no common sense left in America. NIA has received hundreds of emails from members who are over 65 years old and are being carded to buy alcohol at major retailers like Target and Walmart. One NIA member has a son in the 2nd grade who was suspended from school for 1 full year and told to await a threat assessment meeting for doodling a small rocket in his notes during class. 15-year-old Adam Hernandez, a high school freshman in Shorewood, Wisconsin, was recently arrested, handcuffed, and booked on a charge of theft after a friend let him have his lunch. Adam's friend was part of the school's free lunch program, but Adam wasn't, so eating his friend's $2.60 chicken nugget meal was stealing, according to school officials.
So Adam said his side of the story. They did not believe him. His friend Jakari, who gave him the chicken nuggets, they did not believe him. What they chose to do was to handcuff him, arrest him at lunch in front of the school body, and put him in jail.
Federal agencies have now put 6-year-old girls on the no-fly list as potential terrorist threats, and even 3-year-old girls are now being harassed for no reason by TSA agents at airports.
6-year-old Alyssa Thomas is like any little girl.
Ta-da!
She loves her dolls, and she's already excited about the 1st grade. But according to the U.S. government, you should be worried about what she's up to. Dr. Santosh Thomas was just made aware that his oldest daughter is on the list. the terror watch list that impacts travelers who could be a threat to national security.
Here, a TSA employee we've decided not to show is patting down Mandy while my wife holds her. First, they tried a handheld metal detector. Mandy was not in the mood. And the TSA employee, well, in my opinion, did not know how to communicate to her.
Americans can't even bring applesauce through security at an airport without getting arrested.
Supervisor Atkins of the TSA inspects Nadine Hayes' blue ice chest and finds items such as yogurt, grapes, sliced cheese, milk, cottage cheese, applesauce, and soda, which were all essential food items for the hydration and health of her 93-year-old invalid wheelchair-bound mother, Eleanor. Supervisor Atkins refuses to compromise and rudely stated, "We are going to confiscate everything." With this remark, Nadine reaches for the ice chest with her mother's food. Supervisor Atkins gives up possession to screener Teta and a tug-of-war over the ice chest begins. Nadine is very upset that she will not have her 93-year-old mother's food items, but is still going to try to make the impending flight. She then takes the now empty ice chest and gathers the rest of her belongings. Supervisor Atkins appears to find this all rather humorous, as seen by her broad smile to her colleague. Melee is finally given back her charge of Eleanor. With no assistance forthcoming, the TSA has abandoned an invalid 93-year-old woman and her caregiver. Nadine has been cuffed and has been put in an awaiting police car with no explanation as to why they are doing this to her.
Things are getting so bad at our airports that if your ticket says Brad, but your ID says Bradley, there is a chance that you won't be allowed to fly without getting strip searched and interrogated by Homeland Security. Last year, the state of Missouri issued a secret report entitled The Modern Militia Movement, designed to help police identify militia members or domestic terrorists. The report labeled libertarians, and more specifically, supporters of third-party political candidates like Ron Paul, Bob Barr, and Chuck Baldwin as potentially being a domestic terrorist or members of a militia. Right after this report came out, a Ron Paul supporter who was leaving a Campaign for Liberty fundraiser in St. Louis was detained at the St. Louis airport for having Ron Paul bumper stickers on him and $4,700 in cash, which came from the sales of Ron Paul books and t-shirts at the fundraiser. Let's listen to some of the shocking audio from his encounter with TSA agents.
I'm just trying to ask some questions to figure out what all this is about so I can get you on your plane. But you want to play smart, and I'm not going to play your game. How much money is it?
I don't know the exact amount, sir. The card says about $4,700.
$4,700?
Yes, sir.
Why do you have all this money?
I asked her, sir, if am I required by law to answer the question. That's my.
I'm just asking you why you have $4,700.
I understand. That's my question. I don't understand.
Do you want to talk to DEA about it? They'll probably ask.
If they can tell me if I'm required to answer the law question, I'll answer the question. I'm just asking, looking for a simple
question. I just want to know why you have $4,700. That's not an unusual thing. I care if I need $50.
He refused to answer any questions. He don't want to answer. So we're gonna have to take him down to the station and let DEA, FBI, and all those people talk to him.
Every one of them. You're suspicious to me. You're just from your answers. That's why we're going to the station.
Am I being forced to the station? Or am I free to go?
You will be if you don't walk out this office.
Yes, you'll be going to the station. You'll be forced.
Okay,
that's fine.
I understand.
You're going to be going to the station.
Now, do we have to put you in handcuffs, or will we have a problem
with
you walking through this
no, sir.
terminal?
Detained, yes.
Okay. That's fine, sir. I don't understand the law. I'm happy to go.
Well, we're going to help you understand if you don't.
Americans' rights and personal liberties are being trampled on. Earlier this year, when the public expressed their concerns about airports adding full body scanners that allow them to see your body fully naked, the TSA stated,
"And as an additional precaution, the image won't be stored, transmitted, or printed, and deleted immediately once viewed."
The TSA and other federal agencies flat out lied to the public. The U.S. Marshal Service has now admitted that over 35,000 naked images of Americans from the full-body scanner used at the federal courthouse in Orlando, Florida, have been stored between the months of February and July of this year alone. NIA believes that these full-body scanners are unconstitutional and violate fundamental human rights. The mainstream media has worked tirelessly to calm Americans' privacy fears by showing altered images from these scanners with blocked-out genitals. The truth is, these scanners produce images that make human genitals fully visible, and a simple computer technique of inverting the image produces an image that is in full lifelike color.
One of the things I've learned to hate the most is to travel on airplanes. What a humiliating experience. Everybody's guilty until proven innocent. Now, come on. You think they're going to do the same airplane trick again? How about calling this making a lot of money? It's just another way to make money, intimidate the people, and keep them in control. Look, you go into any office building, and you got to go through this stupid routine of showing your identification, your license, getting the picture taken. Come on. You know, it's not like I just landed on the planet last year.
The rush to install naked body scanners in airports came right after the failed underwear bombing in Detroit, which NIA believes was taken way out of proportion by the media in an effort to help their corporate friends make billions off of the American public. What if, God forbid, there is another isolated terrorist attack in the U.S., but this time at a shopping mall? Will all shopping malls be forced to implement naked body scanners? What about schools, rail stations, bus terminals, and even high-traffic city streets? NIA believes that keeping Americans safe at home should be the primary goal of the U.S. government, but in no way should Homeland Security be used to violate Americans' privacy and constitutional rights. NIA has just learned that if you buy a new Toyota at a dealership in San Diego, the sales transaction is now videotaped in order to satisfy a requirement of Homeland Security, which they claim is to prevent the laundering of drug or terrorist money. If you are driving on a New York State highway and pay your toll with a denomination over $20, the New York State Thruway Authority collector must collect your license plate number and report you to the Department of Homeland Security. These Homeland Security measures are infringing on our rights and not making our country the slightest bit safer. The U.S. today is experiencing a merger of state and corporate power. The average small business owner in America is being squeezed by government, forcing Americans to rely on a select few corporations that have all the wealth and power.
Business is booming at Vernon Hirschberger's farm.
I'll show you.
Customers are lining up in record numbers to get their hands on his raw milk. Illegal raw milk.
We should have the right to choose what types of foods and what types of drinks that we want to put into our bodies.
Wednesday, state inspectors raided the farm with a search warrant.
While serving the warrant, they not only put tags and tape on the coolers inside the store, they came in here where people actually get their raw milk out of a tank, and they poured a dye inside the tank.
A couple of months ago, 20 agents raided Rawson Foods in Ventura County, California with a search warrant, ordering workers to put down their buckets of mashed coconut cream and to step away from the nuts. This was the third time this same farm had been raided in 3 months. Sharon Palmer, owner of Rawson Foods, thought she was on her way to resolving the problem over labeling of her goat cheese after the first 2 raids, but apparently not. It's pretty shocking how the police and district attorney in California have absolutely nothing better to do than harass honest, hard-working farmers who are growing and sharing natural, healthy, organic foods. As part of the raid, Sharon's 12-year-old daughter Jasmine had her computer taken and her homework lost. Jasmine still hasn't received back her computers from the 2 previous raids. All across the U.S., small organic food co-ops are being raided by police with guns drawn. Farmers are being treated no different than cocaine kingpins and are being charged with such things as illegally selling raw milk. These food co-ops are guilty of nothing other than sharing healthy food with people in their local communities. However, they are obviously a threat to the large agricultural corporations that pay off our elected representatives in Washington. Americans need to speak out now to help protect small farmers from the FDA and other government agencies that have been hijacked by the greedy and destructive billion-dollar agricultural giants.